know what it is, man. Welcome to Dinner at the Round Table podcast, man. We got La Dueña in the house, man, my co-host, man.
Good, it's La Dueña.
La Dueña. Say hi from Florida.
Woo! Yeah, it's raining up in here.
And we got a special guest, my brother, Dalwin Garcia, man. We're not related, but we're related. real estate investor, house flipper, man, Blue Anchor, co-founder and owner. Welcome to the Dinner at the Round Table podcast, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. Been looking forward to this.
For sure, man. Listen, man, I know you got a busy situation going with flipping houses, renovating stuff. So I was just waiting for the perfect time to get you on. And I reached out, I knew you was in a response. So
absolutely, bro.
We're Garcia's, man. You gotta respond back to Garcia.
Stick together, bro. We gotta stick together no matter what.
For sure. But yeah, man. So you're a real estate investor in the northern New Jersey area, right? And surrounding areas of northern New Jersey. How is it house flipping, man? Just tell us who is Dalwin Garcia first. Who are you? And then let's talk about Blue Anchor Properties.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, man. I mean, like you said, my name is Dalwin Garcia. I mean, we've been in the real estate game since 2015. But I mean, going back, like back. I mean, I was around real estate in a sense because my father, like, he had a house, he still has a house. So like I was already familiar with what real estate was, from him teaching me and seeing, learning from his experience. Fast forward a couple years after that, me and my then girlfriend, now wife, we decided to start investing in real estate. It was only because good friends of ours, they were already investing in real estate probably like 2 years before at that point. And we saw how successful they were. And they just basically told us, guys, just jump in. So fast forward, 5 years later, we've been able to grow a sizable portfolio where we buy properties, we fix them up, and we rent them out to tenants, to residents. And just recently we started adding flipping into the game. And it's been going pretty well for us. It's been going really, really well for us. We have one property currently on the market, and we just sold one literally about a month ago out here in Jersey. So we're located in Lyndhurst out here in Bergen County. And then we buy properties in the northern New Jersey area, like you mentioned. We'll go further, a little into central Jersey, but that's as far as it will go. So that's why we say northern New Jersey and the surrounding areas. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, the house flipping industry is booming. Yeah. It's like a $40 billion business so far. I mean, that's what the statistics say. And like you said, man, you grew up in a house, right? So in the Bronx, right? So you had like that first experience seeing how your dad, was taking care of the mortgage and all that. And also you have your background, you was a branch manager for a Wells Fargo, right?
Yeah. So I right out of college, I went into banking, and I literally just went up that corporate ladder, like people like to say, banker, became a licensed banker, and then I became a branch manager. From Wells Fargo, I went over to a different bank, a commercial bank, and at that point, me and the wife were already dabbling in real estate, but that's when our mind started like, clicking and looking at things differently, just because being in the commercial banking world and dealing with commercial real estate was very different compared to being on the retail side of banking. And then from there, I went to another bank out here in Jersey, both were in Jersey. And then eventually it got to the point where the real estate business was taking up a lot of time. It really got to the point where I was managing my real estate business while working at my branch. And me and the wife decided, you know what? At this point, let's go full time into this. And it's been good ever since, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, you have to walk away from your day job.
Yeah.
I mean, as a branch manager for Wells Fargo, which is, I would say, I mean, probably the number one bank in the world, right? One of the top five,
yeah,
right?
One of the biggest banks, yeah.
Yeah, to just walk away from that. I mean, you must have been making cake, man. Good. You can see it in your smile, bro. You're like, that's that rich smile.
Like,
you got right there. Oh, I got money.
Yeah, you got me.
No, it got to the point where, like I said before, we had a goal in mind, and we decided when what the real estate is able to replace that 9 to 5 income, then it's time to make that decision. And it happened. We set a goal that we actually reached that goal quicker than we actually thought we would. Wow. And at that point, it just made sense. Like the income was already replaced, so now I could do this full time. But also, my mind wasn't at my job anymore. It was running a business. You know what I mean? So at that point, I had a good relationship with the bank that I was out here in Jersey. And I gave them enough notice so that they can, do what they got to do. And once I left, it was just, I hit the ground running from there.
Awesome, man. That's great, man. Listen, man.
It's like for you, Dalwin, that must have been like a leap of faith. Not too many people, are willing to take that risk. They get too scared, even if they were getting the same amount of income as their 9 to 5, it's like just to take that leap of faith and to exit that comfort zone of earning paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? So many people just don't believe in themselves enough to make that leap. So that's good for you that you were able to do that.
And just to add to that, people, it was a huge leap of faith. I mean, we knew what we were doing. We had systems in place to make sure that, things work out the way they should. But my wife, when I left my job, my wife was 8 months pregnant, and everybody was like,
giant leap of faith.
Yeah, everybody was like, dude, you sure you want to leave your very good paying job, your 9 to 5 with your benefits and your PTO? And me and my wife, we were like, we have to take this chance just because we want to be able to do other things in life, and one of the things that we have to do is me first, being the first one to leave that 9 to 5 in order to now start putting things in place for the things we want to achieve in the future, so it was a huge leap of faith for sure.
That's awesome.
It's basically following your dreams, man. And like you said, you reached your goals before, the expected timeline that you had. And it was great, bro. So sometimes you have to take that risk and say, you know what, it's being profitable for us and it's working out. So you know what, let's just do it.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely,
man. Absolutely. So, real quick, so someone looking to purchase a home for the very first time, what would be your best advice for them as a first time home?
Yeah, man. I mean, I get this question a lot, and the first thing I always say is educate yourself, right? It's 2020. We're going into 2021. You can literally, your phone, your laptop, you can just literally Google anything. But when I say educate yourself, I mean, get familiar with what real estate is, single family, multifamily, commercial real estate. Get familiar with the terms that are going to be thrown at you when you start the process of buying a home, LTV, ARV. There's a lot of different things that are thrown at you that for someone, it could be overwhelming if you're not familiar with any of this stuff. But also, get your finances in place. People think that, you need to have, exceptional credit. No, you don't need to have a 700 or 800 credit score, but you need to be decent enough where you're like 650 around there with, a decent credit history so that when you're going to get pre-approved, you have that letter ready to go. So when you make that offer, you look like a strong candidate, a strong buyer for that particular property. But I always say, man, it comes down to education. Once you educate yourself and you familiarize yourself as much as you can, because the next part of that is, getting a team together. You want to look at properties. Yeah, you can Google and you can go on Trulia, Zillow, Hotpads, like all of us do. But eventually, I always recommend try to link up with a realtor. He or she already has a team in place. Once you link up with a realtor, he or she is going to have the mortgage broker ready to go for you. He or she's going to have the real estate attorney ready to go, the appraiser, the inspector. Like they have a list on that team where no matter what, that realtor, he or she's going to put you under their wing and say, okay, you want to get this property? You want to see these properties? Let's go. Let's rock. And let's just make it happen. So it all starts with education, bro, for sure.
Sure, man. And I know that there's federal programs and state programs that help for first-time homeowners too, right? Get into the game with a 3%, right? Is it that 3% bracket?
So, yeah,
how does that work?
There's the FHA program.
Okay.
So the FHA program allows first-time home buyers to purchase a home with as little as 3.5% down. Okay.
Nice.
And in today's real estate market right now, with rates being at all-time lows, someone with decent credit can get a rate below 3% right now.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, it's like it's never been this low in the history of this country. Has interest rates for mortgages been this low? So just with as little as 3.5% down on your purchase, you can buy your first property. The tidbit with that is, though, you got to live in that property for at least a year, no matter what.
A year, yes.
Yeah, that's like the requirement from the bank and from the federal government, really, that if you're gonna utilize this program, which anybody can, and you're gonna come in with 3.5% down, no problem, cool, but you got to live in that property for at least a year. But what's cool about that is that you can purchase a single family home with just one unit. It's just you by yourself in that property, or the FHA program works all the way up to 4 units. So you could buy yourself a 4-family, up to 4-family, live in 1 unit and rent out the other 3. And essentially at that point, you're living rent free, you know?
Yeah. So it's still profitable. It's so profitable regardless. If you do, if you get a 4-unit home, right?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's definitely profitable. You can literally go, okay, I can go into a single family 3.5% down and pay the mortgage by myself. I can go into a 2-family and have the other apartment pay for part of my mortgage, and then I come out of pocket and cover the rest, which usually is a win-win for a lot of people, because I mean, we're in the tri-state area. A 2-bedroom apartment, at least out here in Jersey, goes for $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, depending on the area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're going into a 2-family home and you have a tenant, a resident paying for part of the mortgage, you're going to be paying less than what you were paying in rent. So that's a win regardless, because you're saving money now.
Exactly.
Now, if you go into that 3-family and possibly a 4-family, you could live possibly rent-free and not come out of pocket at all. Or you could even cash flow and actually get paid to live in your house at that point. And that's when it becomes profitable.
So it's a property investment, man. You know what I'm saying? You have to utilize it the best way that you can. You know what I mean? How has the pandemic affected the home buyers industry? Has it been better? Has it been the rates were lower, you said, right? Is it because of the COVID, or just that? How has that been during the pandemic?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, when COVID hit, when the coronavirus hit and the country was declared a pandemic, real estate stopped. It was just like everything else. Real estate.
Everybody was scared to invest.
Everybody was scared. Like, not for nothing. We, at that point, when the pandemic hit, we had 4 deals under contract, and at that point, those deals were amazing deals. And we work with a lot of investors, and a lot of all of our investors were like, "No, this is too crazy out here right now. We're gonna pull back, and we're just gonna see what happens." And that didn't just happen to us. That happened to a lot of people, because at the end of the day, there was just so much uncertainty out there, and there still is a lot of uncertainty out here to this day. But a lot of sellers were taking their properties off the market because they didn't want people coming into their house.
Wow.
Banks started tightening up like crazy and tightening up their lending requirements. Your credit score had to be at a certain level now. You had to come in with more into the deal, yada, yada, yada. But now, fast forward all the way into December of this year, the real estate market is hotter than it's ever been. And that's why we decided, when this whole pandemic first hit, we decided, you know what, let's slow down, because at that point we were always just buying properties, fixing them up, and then renting them out. So we decided, you know what, let's stop what we're doing. Let's look at what's happening out here. Let's work on branding ourselves, which is why we started Blue Anchor Properties. But then let's see what else we can do differently. And then lo and behold, we figured, you know what, it looks a little crazy out here right now, but if we can start flipping and people want to buy properties because interest rates are so low, because the Fed's cut rates pretty much down to 0 right now, the demand is there. So as soon as things started opening up again, we started seeing the real estate market pick up and get hotter than it was before COVID.
Yeah.
And now at this point, if you have a property, at least here in Jersey, a multifamily property, that's a hot commodity out here. So if you're able to lock down a good deal, a 2 or 3 or 4 family, fix it up, and then put it right back on the market, you're gonna get demand for it, because there's nothing out here right now. It's very low inventory.
Yeah. According to the federal statistic, in July alone, over 900,000 houses were sold in the country. So imagine. What I was gonna ask you is, how was the whole like employment thing? Because how were you able to like prove that you can pay a mortgage if you're unemployed because of COVID. How
Yeah.
was that like affecting people?
Well, I mean, when COVID first hit, first of all, let's touch on this first.
Okay.
A lot of people to this day are still impacted by COVID, right? And
Yeah.
the majority of our portfolio is buy and hold rentals. So we have tenants, right?
Absolutely.
One of the first things that we did when we saw what was happening out here, we typed up a letter, right? And that letter, I literally hand delivered it to all of our 21 units at that time. I literally dropped it off in their mailbox. And what that letter stated was, hey, listen, we understand what's going on. First and foremost, take care of yourself, take care of your family, social distance, all that good stuff. Another thing, here are some resources. But another thing is, if you do have any issues with paying your rent, communication right now is more important than ever. Just know that if you need help, let us know. We're going to figure this out together. You know what I mean? And knock on wood, to this day, all of our tenants have been on point, and we have one tenant that's on a payment plan. And that's more than fine with us, because we understand their situation. But this tenant, along with a lot of our other tenants, they were just appreciative of the fact that we reached out to them and were super understanding about what's happening out here. You know what I mean? So now, to go back to your question about, qualifying for mortgages and things like that, my mortgages were already in place before COVID.
Yeah.
So, but the way that I go about, buying my properties, when we first started, we were going the conventional route, which is, the 20-25% down. You gotta, show your proof of income. But when you're doing this full time, there's other ways to go about it. It's like pretty much unconventional, where instead of going to the bank, you're going to like hard money lenders, which is what we usually do. We'll go to a hard money lender, and instead of the hard money lender qualifying me, they're qualifying the deal itself.
Oh, I see.
Right? So they'll run my credit just to make sure that I have good credit. I'm not bankrupt or anything like that. But then they'll look at the deal that I'm presenting them, and they'll look at the numbers. And if it makes sense for them, then they'll lend on the deal, and then we just get to work, And then from there, once we finish the property, it's either we sell it, we'll flip it and put it on the market, pay off the hard money lender, keep our profits, or we'll refinance, which will go to an unconventional lender to help us refinance, and we'll pay off the hard money lender, hopefully cash out, take out some of our investment back, and now we just have a property that's cash flowing at that point.
Yeah, I mean, another statistic that I see, because I follow a lot of like home buyer industry, like articles and blogs. Like 45% of the houses that were bought in the United States were people under 35.
Yeah,
that's insane. So a lot of young people are getting into houses. So people are getting hip to the game that, in order for you to build generational wealth, you have to have assets, and what better way than real estate, right?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Generational wealth, assets over liabilities is the name of the game, and COVID has, this pandemic, COVID has changed the game probably for, in my opinion, forever. I mean, you see, you read about it on the news, you see it on TV. There's people leaving New York City and leaving these big cities and trying to go to these other cities or states where they can have more space.
Absolutely.
They're not.
That's pretty much what I did.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Florida now. I just got here like 3 months ago.
Yeah, you see, you're living proof of the statistics right now.
Yeah.
We've been noticing that out here too. Like over the summer, we were renting one of our apartments. The rehab was done, so it was time to get a family in there. And for the first time ever in our 5 years doing this, we got people applying from New York City to come all the way to Wayne, New Jersey. Which to me, I was like, I looked at the application, I was like, it's a little weird, but it was a common theme that people from New York City were trying to move over, and we ended up renting to somebody from New York City. So
awesome.
It's happening out here right now.
I saw, according to statistics, that a lot of people that are moving from the big cities are moving into Denver. Like this year alone, statistics are saying that 40% of the urban cities such as LA, New York City, and Miami, and cities like that, they're all moving into Denver, more interior locations.
Yeah.
Well, I think they just wanted to get high. Colorado.
That too.
We got the new laws of
absolutely
marijuana's legal over there.
Yeah,
go to the mountains to smoke weed.
It's definitely friendly out there. But I'm actually part of a mastermind group where some of the people in that mastermind group are from the Denver, Colorado area. And that market out there, when it comes to real estate, it's popping out there. It's just crazy.
I heard it's
booming.
It's booming. The cost of living out there is cheaper too compared to major cities.
You know, cost of living is down. Your money goes further, right?
Yeah.
You get your, $250,000 house here in Jersey or the tri-state area, maybe this small, but out there it's like this. You know what I mean? Like,
and you could buy yourself a pony or two.
You know what I mean? Like, you could do a lot. You know?
Some pigs, some chickens running around.
I don't know if I want to have a pony, especially if I'm in Denver getting high and shit, and like next thing you know, the pony's chasing after me. Like,
oh man, it's crazy, man. Listen, but I was gonna ask you.
Crazy out there, for sure.
The DMAC Capital, that's another part of your business too, right? Is that part of the home lender program?
Yeah, so basically DMAC Capital, we started DMAC Capital first before Blue Anchor Properties. Okay. DMAC Capital now serves as our holding company. So anything so Blue Anchor Properties is actually owned by DMAC Capital. And then DMAC Capital is owned by myself and my wife. Blue Anchor Properties, basically what we do is the reason why we started Blue Anchor Properties is because like we mentioned before, we started rebranding ourselves. And we started pivoting in real estate. And instead of just focusing on buy and hold and buying rentals, we decided let's start getting to the flipping game a little bit more. But we also changed how we approach the game, or how we get leads, how we get deals. Before, we were getting deals from our realtor, who for the most part, I want to say 95% of our deals have come from this one particular realtor, who is the man, him and his son. Shout out to OT and Jonathan. But we decided, because this market is so competitive right now, for us, if we want to continue to do volume, it just doesn't make sense to look at these properties that everybody else is looking at right now and putting in offers that are just not getting accepted. So one day, I had an Excel worksheet, and it was like, tracking all the offers that we were putting in and not getting any deals. It got to the point where, like, in 2 weeks, we made probably like 15 to 20 offers, and none of them got accepted. So me and my wife, we sat down and we were like, we got to do something different here. Like, if we want to keep going and we want to keep up with how hot this market is, we got to change it up. So we started Blue Anchor Properties so that we can start now working directly with the sellers. So now what we do is we market to families out here in Jersey that own properties and may be in the position to sell their home. Maybe they're in the position to sell their home because they're about to foreclose. Maybe they're about to go through the pre-foreclosure process. Maybe somebody passed away and they inherited a property. Maybe they just don't want to live there anymore. Maybe they just got a new job and they got to move across the country and they want to sell their property quick. That's where Blue Anchor Properties comes in, and we solve those issues. So now, instead of having to compete with 100 people looking at that one property, we're just dealing with sellers directly, and we're able to buy properties at discount now, where now our margins are able to increase. And and the best part about it is, once we put a good product on the market, we're doing something good for the community that we're working in, So
yeah, absolutely, man. You're giving homes.
Exactly.
Yeah, the renovation portion, man, that must be insane. How is it how great is that feeling to go in there, strip a house, gut it out completely, and make it into this freaking masterpiece? That must be the greatest feeling in the world.
It is, bro.
Like, just destroy it completely and then just like rebuild it. Like you're like acting like God right now. You're like striking it down and building it back up in 7 days.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a good feeling to, like, when you're done and you look around, you're like, damn, this looks good. But the reason why it feels good is because, like, I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's it. Like, I'm on to the next one. Like, this took a while. Like, this is one property that we just put on the market. We bought it in June. But we didn't get to start working on it pretty much in like September. And the reason why was because we put in our permit paperwork, but COVID slowed things down so much out here that instead of dropping it off in person, like you always do at City Hall, you had to drop it off in a Dropbox. And long story short, they didn't know that we dropped it off because they didn't get it until a couple of days later. So they see our guys working and they shut us down. Oh, you didn't put in paperwork. You didn't put in And I'm like, no, we put in the paperwork. And then they realized, yeah, you did put in the paperwork, but since you already shut down, let's just process the permits. COVID has slowed down the town so much that they were working in 2-person shifts.
Oh my God.
And it was every other day. Long story short, a permit process that takes about 2 weeks took us 9 weeks.
Wow.
9 weeks. So wow. as soon as they gave us our permits and they gave us a thumbs up, we just got to work. We started demo. We brought everything down to the studs. And it took a while to deliver the product that we put on the market. But once we were done, we were like, damn, this looks good. And now that it's on the market, now, we like the offers that we've gotten, it just shows that people really, really want to live in a house like that, you know? So
yeah, for sure.
So Dalwin, so walk us through like the process, you know what I mean? From A to Z, like, you know, from searching for the house that you want to work on and submitting permits and renovating and, you know, walk us through for the people who are interested in doing, you know, real estate themselves. What is usually the process that they're expecting? Like, show us an example.
Yeah, I mean, from the moment you identify that property, and at this point you've already educated yourself, you already got the realtor, he or she has their team in place, he or she already helps you find that property. You identify that property, you put an offer, and let's say you got beginner's luck and they take your offer right off the rip, right? You put it on the contract. You have to go through your inspection process, which is you hire somebody to look through the house, make sure that there's no issues at all whatsoever. If there are issues, that's where your attorney comes in, and your attorney will try to negotiate with the seller's attorney to either bring the price down or give you some sort of credits, right? The appraisal, that's somebody that the bank sends just to make sure that if you're offering $300,000 on the house, the bank wants to make sure the house is worth at least $300,000. 9 times out of 10, the bank is always going to make sure that you're good in that sense. Fast forward, you close. At that point, you should already know what you're going to be doing with this property. If you bought a property that needed work, you should already have some sort of an idea of what type of work you're going to do. So you want to get your general contractor in place. Your general contractor is going to have his team, which will include all of his crew, and then he will subcontract the plumber, he will subcontract the electrician, he'll subcontract any other parts of the team that his particular crew can't do, right? But before you do that, you want to submit your permits. Your contractor is the one that fills out the permit paperwork, puts in all of the information that we're going to do, and puts in that paperwork or the permit paperwork with the town. The town approves, and they say, okay, now you got to pay a permit fee. They determine how much it is. How they determine that, I don't know. I'll never know that.
They don't want you to know.
Yeah, they don't want you to know. Permits could be as little as $50, or it can go up to a couple grand. You know, it all depends on the project and the town that you're working in. But if, let's say, they give you your permits, now your contractor and his team can get to work. But if you're doing a project like we did, where we gutted it completely, we did brand new plumbing, brand new electric, we did a brand new layout, which means we had to change the structure a little bit. If you're changing the structure of the property, you're going to have to get an architect involved, which is what we had to do, because you can't just blow walls open and not expect the house to stay up. You know what I mean? So the architect, exactly. So the architect is going to come in and say, okay, you want to blow open this wall and this wall, you can do it, but you got to reinforce that wall and that wall. So when it's open, the house doesn't cave in, right? So once that's good, now your GC takes those blueprints and gets to work. Now the inspections happen. Framing first. Okay, cool. The building inspector comes in and looks at the plans, looks at what you did, and they'll either pass or fail you. If everything goes according to the plans and according to their standards for the city, you're good. Now from there, you start your electric roughing, which is just the wires throughout the entire house. And you do your plumbing roughing, which is just the plumbing, all the pieces for the plumbing. Then you get your inspection. Your inspection for your electricity and your plumbing comes in. They look at your plans. They look at what you did. If you're good, you're good. They pass you, no problem. Then before you start closing up walls, you got to insulate the walls. So you got to insulate the exterior walls. That way the cold weather, especially out here in the Northeast, doesn't come into the house. Then they come and inspect that. If they like the way that you insulated the house and it's up to code, they'll pass you. And now you can start closing up the house. Now you can start. And that's at that point, that's when you're starting to see the house take shape. Because before all that, it's just bones. That's it. You're not seeing anything else. But once they start putting the drywall up and they start spackling and they start sanding down, then you're like, okay, now the vision is starting to come forward. Then they start painting. Nice. They start, throwing the floors down. They start
getting excited.
That's when it starts getting fun. You're like, wow, like the vision's coming together now. And then you have a finished product. But before you can actually sell, like officially sign on the contract that you have sold the property to another person or family, the city has to come and approve all of your work now. So when it comes to the building inspection, they just want to come in and make sure that you didn't do anything extra that from the previous inspection. Passed, no problem. The plumbing inspection is going to come in and they're going to make sure that all of your fixtures, all of your water fixtures are not loose. That they're going to check the water temperatures to make sure that the water is not burning people, and they have a certain temperature limit. Out here in Jersey, it's 120 degrees.
This water's too cold, young man.
Yeah, it's too cold, too hot.
Water is too cold.
Yeah. So once you pass that, you're good. The electrical final, they just want to make sure that your fixtures are in. You didn't do anything extra. They're going to check the voltage of everything. You're good. And then once you pass all of that, that's it. You're good to go. You can sell that property. And now the family or the person that buys the property, they know that they shouldn't have any issues moving forward with the house. Nice. And if you're like us, you're all about your brand and your reputation. You want to make sure you're delivering a top-notch product out there, no matter what. So
absolutely
right. You want to make sure your customer's happy. Wow, well, thank you so much, Dalwin, for walking us through that. I'm sure a lot of people listening in, tuning in, like taking notes, like
Take notes.
I didn't take notes because I know I'm gonna go back onto YouTube and I could go, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay.
Absolutely. That's the beauty. You could always just go back and watch it over for sure.
Yeah, man. People are gonna start calling you the real estate guru. The guru, man. He taught me on Dinner at the Roundtable podcast.
I wish I had known you while I was in North Bergen, because I was looking into doing that. I do because I go back and forth from Edgewater to Jersey. I mean, I'm from Edgewater to Florida. So while I'm not there, I would rent it on Airbnb because, Edgewater is really nice and it has like a nice view and stuff like that.
Right by the water. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing really good with the Airbnb stuff, but
Airbnb when COVID hit took a little bit of a hit because of travel. But now people are making a killing with Airbnb because people just want to get away and stay away.
Right. And it's so crazy because Airbnb reported their stocks recently and they had doubled.
Yeah.
After COVID back in November. So that's pretty, insane.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
Darwin, what has been your toughest renovation out of all the properties you're invested in thus far? Toughest
your nightmare.
Yeah, no,
man. This damn old building here.
No, I mean we've done a lot of renovations, from very minor renovations to extensive renovation. The most extensive one that we've done so far is the one we just did, because we've done gut jobs before.
Was that the one in Clifton, right?
Yeah, Clifton. That's the one that we just put on the market. We've done jobs like that in the sense where we rip everything out and then start over, but we've never done a job where we wanted to change the structure of the house. That's where it got a little bit difficult for us because it was a new process for us. And we knew, okay, we had to change the structure, but how do we do that? We actually got the architect involved late in the game. We should have gotten the architect involved early in the game. For example, we've submitted our permits and we gave them renderings, but the renderings were not architectural official renderings. They were like, no. If you're going to change the structure of a 2-family in Clifton, New Jersey, and it's really in Jersey in general, you got to get an architect involved. We were like, oh, okay. So then we got the architect involved. So that delayed things even further. You know what I mean? So we learned a lot from that particular project. And then working 9 weeks later after buying a house, that wasn't easy either, because the bank needs to get paid no matter what. And there's nothing happening at that property. It's not like we sold it. It's not like we have families in there that are renting it. No matter what, we're still paying a mortgage on that, and the bank don't care. They don't care that there's a pandemic or that,
there's a loss of life or passing.
They don't care that your permits are taking forever. They need to get paid no matter what. So this particular project that we just wrapped up, although it was a lot of fun and the project came out beautiful, we learned a lot. And what we learned from that one, just like, you know, from our previous projects, we're just going to roll it over into the next project. That way we don't repeat those mistakes. But no matter what, we're always going to make mistakes. We're only human, you know, but we got to learn from it, and we got to just keep it moving.
Every property must be like different, you know, have its own challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
every day you rip open a wall and you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. That's what makes those TV shows in HGTV popular, you know, like each house, you just never know what you're going to get. If it's an infestation of bugs or whatnot, to flooding that you had no idea.
You never know.
Cracking the foundation.
We have a property now, which we're good to go with that property now. But we, for the longest, we had like an infestation in the property for like cockroaches, and we kept fumigating. We're like, why is this happening? Now it's like it's gone, but it took like 6-7 months to get it under control because that property was infested. Yeah,
it's like a roach motel.
Yeah, they were chilling.
It was just like this.
Yep.
Hey, Miss Garcia, hurry up.
Trying to move into my house.
Who's this coming in my house?
And Noah's like, Daddy, there's a cockroach there.
Yeah, no, we learn a lot, but we take the lessons and we move forward, and that's it, you know. So
yeah, but listen, for somebody who is not interested in flipping homes, but wants to buy you know, they're a dream home or whatever, but it doesn't, you know, they want to buy like a foreclosure home. Do you recommend that, or if they have some type of knowledge of how to renovate and all that? Or
listen, when it comes to just real estate in general, I recommend it to anybody. You just have to, as an individual, you need to know your limits. You know what I mean? Like you need to know like how much risk like you have to know how much risk you're willing to take. You know what I mean? And when it comes to foreclosures, like they're not as easy as a lot of people think where, oh, let me just Google foreclosures. No, like these banks, they'll have a list of foreclosures, and what they'll do is they'll give it to the real estate brokers out here in the area, and then the real estate officers are the ones selling it. But usually these foreclosures need a lot of work. But sometimes the bank, before putting it on the market, the bank will fix it up and then put it on the market. But even then, you should do your own inspection and all that good stuff. But I always say, like, you gotta know your tolerance level. Are you like, if you want to get into real estate, and there's nothing wrong with getting into real estate and wanting a house that needs no work. There's nothing wrong with that, because that means that your tolerance level is here. Cool, no problem, go for it. But if you're looking to get into a property that needs a little bit of work, nothing crazy, but you know, I can do a bathroom or a kitchen, go for it. But if you're not, that means your risk tolerance level is here. But now, if you're looking into getting into a full gut, like we usually do, and new electric, new plumbing, new roof, all that stuff, then your tolerance level is at that point, and you got to be willing and able to weather those storms, no matter what.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely have to be able to take what's coming. Yeah, for sure, man. So, what I was gonna say, Dara. So, the great thing about it is that in this day and age, right, us brown and black, you know, people, we have the opportunities to get into the real estate business and profit from it, because in America, you know, knowing the history, the redlining issue from back in the days, you know, didn't allow black and brown people like us to purchase homes in these areas that you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Purchasing home, and thank God times have changed, you know. America is a business, is a corporation. So as long as you got the money to purchase, purchasing power is what the color is now, right? If you got the bread, they don't care about your race or skin color anymore. But I'm glad that times have changed, and you know, humanity as a whole has, you know, woken up in a sense. And people like us are able to, you know, open up a real estate situation and make money off of it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Listen, I'm Dominican. I was born in Dominican Republic. I came here when I was just about a year old. I was raised out here. I didn't learn how to speak fluent English until I was in the 3rd grade. I was in ESL until the 3rd grade. And, you know, my entire family, like, you know, we don't come from money at all whatsoever, but it's like I said from before, it's all about education. And as long as you're willing to educate yourself and surround yourself with the right people that can point you and lead you in the right direction and are willing to help you, because there's people out there willing to help no matter what. You got to just put yourself in that position. Then the sky's the limit. You know, like someone like me, you know, a brown kid from the Bronx. Now I'm in Jersey. If I can do this, bro, anybody can do this. You just got to just educate yourself. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Piggybacking on that, you know, so basically like mentors, you know, people who are looking to take you in, I guess, under their wing and show you the way. Where is if people were interested in like flipping or wholesaling or whatnot, where can people go? What do you suggest where people can go to like find mentors or find someone to like, you know, like, hey, I'll help you out and be my mentor?
He's the mentor. You could be the mentor. You're the guru.
First and foremost, like if anybody ever wants to reach out to me on social, you know, on my personal IG DGuard31 or Blue Anchor Properties on IG, by all means, go for it. I can talk real estate all day.
Nice.
That I can definitely do that for sure. One thing that myself and my wife and a lot of us in the real estate community utilize to this day, there's a community out there called Bigger Pockets. Okay, biggerpockets.com. It's pretty much like a social network for people who want to get into real estate, are already in real estate, are super experienced in real estate. And any question that you're looking to have answered, it's there, no matter what. You can network with people in your area. If you're in the tri-state area like us, if you're down south, if you're in Denver, Colorado, it don't matter. If you're in Florida, it don't matter. Like you can literally meet anybody and just start asking questions and learning and absorbing from everybody else out there. And there's people that are in the community that are newbies, that are just starting, that want to buy their first property and don't know how. And there's people there educating and providing that value that a lot of people are seeking. So that's where I would start, no matter what. Biggerpockets.com. They're very big on the podcast world as well. Every week they're dropping podcasts. So it's all about that education, man. That's like, I keep going back to that. Like knowledge is power. Like it really is. And the more you know, it's amazing, but then you have to take one step further after that. And you got to put that knowledge to work after, you know,
yeah, man.
You can't just gather all that knowledge and, you know, keep it in. Like you got to put that to work, you know? Yeah. So that's why I would start.
I really wish they had those infomercials that they had in the 80s and the 90s, the NBC ones that used to be like with the rainbow, the more you know. Yeah. The more you know. They don't have those infomercials anymore. Like that area is dead, but it's true. Like you said, knowledge is power.
Yeah, man.
And the more you educate yourself on a particular thing that you want to do, the better you're gonna be at it. It's just plain simple, right? That's how it works.
Absolutely, man.
For sure, man.
That's pretty interesting, Dalwin. And you know what's so funny is last week before Nelly and I were to have like a little pre-meeting, you know, to talk about what we're going to discuss today on the podcast, I was actually on my way to a not a webinar, but like one of those conferences that they have in the hotels where they talk about real estate and stuff like that. So that was probably my second or third time going to one of those, but just going into those, you know, they just spill out so much knowledge. And that was just so funny how 2 days later, Nelly calls me back and he's like, we're going to have Dalwin on the show. And I was just like, what? Like, I was just piquing my interest into real estate just a few days ago. So that was very big coincidence.
If you want to pick my brain about real estate, go for it. I can literally talk real estate all day.
I will. Trust me.
Yo, it was right up your valley. I kind of like read your thoughts from like New York.
He did. Nelly had no idea like what conference I was going to or what it was about or anything. And so that was crazy. Nelly like literally read my mind.
It's a gift that I have.
That's my dude. That's fam. You know what I'm saying?
You know, he could read people's mind. You know?
Yeah, man. He's Professor X sometimes. But yeah. So listen, man, you and your wife, man, you guys are like the dynamic duo because she's your partner in crime, man.
How is that to ride or die?
How is that to work with the love of your life right next to you, bro? That's great.
Yeah, right? No, it's amazing, man. Listen, I'm the face of the company. Obviously, I'm always the one on the social media and all that, but this company ain't running without her. It's just that simple.
Every king needs a queen, bro. You know,
absolutely. I agree with that. You know, I feel like real estate should always be a team.
Absolutely. It's definitely a team effort for sure. And the fact that my wife, my best friend, is right there alongside me, that just makes it 10 times better. But I always say that I'm the one out here making a mess and she's the one cleaning it up after.
She's cleaning it up and
because
keeping your head in one place, because you know real estate could be very frustrating, you know what I mean, especially when things go out of control and like, you know, now, oh shit, here's $5,000 that I wasn't expecting to spend, now I got to invest another 5,000. And you know, at least you got your wife right there next to you, which is a blessing, to tell you like, hey, everything's gonna be all right, we're gonna figure this out. You know what I'm saying? We could get through this, you know. So that's
awesome. And if I ever get that random $5,000 bill, I'm like, hey,
I don't know. That's just something I saw on them TV shows. Like, oh my god,
we got this random problem at this property. It's gonna cost us $5,000, and she's the one that opens up the laptop. Okay, we can do it. Don't worry about it. Pay it. Don't worry about it. Because she's the one behind the scenes. Like I said, like I'm making a mess and she's cleaning it up, and I have the big picture, right? I'm like macro, she's micro. I'm not detail oriented at all whatsoever. Don't put an Excel worksheet in front of me because I don't know what to do with it. I can look at it, but I can't do anything else with it. She, on the other hand, she's the one that's like, I can crunch the numbers, but then she's getting into the nitty gritty, making sure that the deal makes sense for us, for our investors. When it comes to just putting the project together, she's the one behind the scenes that is making sure that the ship is sailing in the right direction. You know what I mean? So
that's awesome.
And I'm out here just, you know, putting in the work, you know, so
like the Tasmanian devil, like
it's a lot of fun. And the fact that she's there with me, you know, alongside me, we both started this real estate journey together. So it's
nice. What a blessing. That's awesome.
It's great to have your life partner or your significant other have the same ambitions that you have.
Absolutely.
Same, you know, dreams and idea, because a lot of times a lot of relationships or marriages go sour is because they both have different objectives. You know what I mean? And the fact that you have that with your wife, man, that's a blessing, bro. I'm proud of you, proud of her. Till I said what's up after the show.
So you want I said what's up? I'm gonna be picking both of y'all brains.
The show. She can talk real estate all day too, actually.
Yeah. So upon doing research, like I said, I follow a lot of blogs and shit regarding the home buyers network, and I wanted to share something with you, see if you agree or not.
Okay.
So let's pull this up real quick. I thought you got anything to ask Dalwin before we do this? Or?
Oh yeah, I got a few.
Okay.
So one of my questions
first before I do this, because this is we got 25 facts to see if he can fact check them himself.
Okay.
According to his experience.
Well, one of my questions for you, Dalwin, is we were talking earlier about FHA programs that are available for first-time home buyers. Are there any other grants or programs that are out there that you could suggest to our listeners when looking for a house? Because I know it's more than one. I know there's a lot out there that people just don't know about.
Absolutely. I mean, FHA is the first one that pretty much everyone knows. It's that first-time home buyer program with a very low down payment. There's also, like, if you're a veteran, you can do a VA loan, right? And where the bank pretty much says you come into the deal with 0% down, and they're financing 100% of that property for you because you served your country. So that's an amazing benefit for those who have served in the military.
Yeah.
But there's other programs out there for being Latino, for being African American. There's even programs within the towns that you're looking to invest in that will sometimes give grants to help you with your down payment, to help you with your closing costs, or you have to come in with your closing costs, but they'll reimburse you after. Listen, Google is my best friend because you can literally find anything out there. And when it comes to programs in real estate, there's a million different programs out there. It's just a matter of looking and finding and then educating yourself. But I'll say this. One of your key resources to get that information will be the mortgage broker who's part of the realtor's team, his or her team, and the realtor themselves. If they're in this industry and they're doing it full time, this is what they do, they'll have a lot of this information and they'll be able to connect you and point you in the right direction as well.
Okay. So for our listeners out there, just make sure you do your due diligence and your research and ask as many questions, especially to people who have experience in in that field, like you said, you know, such as the mortgage brokers and the realtors out there. So that's very, very good to know. Thank you so much for that.
For sure, for sure.
But yeah, another question is, I've been seeing, like, you know, on Instagram and on Facebook about wholesaling. Have you have any experience in wholesaling?
Well, ourselves, no, that's something else that we're throwing into the mix.
Okay.
Wholesaling in a nutshell is, I put a property under contract, right? And let's say the property I'm putting on the contract, for easy numbers, I'm putting it on the contract for $100,000, right? And then I find an end buyer and I assign them my contract, right? So I'm literally selling them my contract. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I put it on the contract with the seller for 100. I assign it to, let's say, you for 110. So you're buying it for 110. The seller is getting 100. I make $10,000. That's wholesaling. So basically, you're putting a house on the contract. You're pretty much selling that contract, and you're collecting a fee in between for providing that service, in a sense. Our last deal that we bought, and we're actually flipping, it's on the market right now in Clifton, came from a wholesaler, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
He put the property. If I remember correctly, he put the property on the contract with the seller for $210,000. He marketed it because he blasted out to other buyers, to cash buyers like us, for $222,000. So he was only they're looking to make that $12,000 spread. We ended up buying it from him for about $230,000. So he ended up making a nicer spread on that as well. And that's pretty much wholesaling in a sense. And there's a lot of people that can do that. There's certain states that have laws that you have to work around.
Limitations
and sometimes some states kind of prohibit that as well. Here in Jersey, it's not prohibited as of yet. But it's definitely doable. That's something that we're looking to do as well, because there's markets out here that we might not want to buy into because it just doesn't fit our buying criteria. But there's other people that want to buy there. So if we're able to put a house on the contract and assign it and give that contract to somebody else and collect a fee, that's not a problem at all for us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's true. At the end of the day, everyone needs a home.
Absolutely.
Real estate is always going to be here forever and ever and ever, because people are always going to need a place to live.
Absolutely.
So that's very cool.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, you're building an empire, man, for your future generations, for your kids, his kids. I mean, the real estate business is the best way to build generational wealth, like I said earlier. And you know, you're continuing to build the Garcia empire. Started with your dad and your mother, and now you're bringing it to your doorstep, and then it's going to continue to Noah and his kids.
Absolutely.
And you know, you're gonna put us on the map, kid, the Garcias, you know what I'm saying, out of there in Jersey. Yeah. So real quick, what hotspots you recommend in New Jersey to purchase homes right now?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot, and in our area to like invest, whether you're looking to buy and hold and like rent it, or if you're looking to flip. Like our portfolio is primarily in Passaic, New Jersey, which is about 10 minutes from where I'm at right now. But Paterson, New Jersey as well. Now, this is where I say you got to do your research. Do your research, because there's some parts in certain towns that you as a buyer may not be comfortable buying in, but somebody else is. Learn, educate yourself, learn what spots you're okay with to take the risk and what you're not. Paterson is a great market. You got Belleville, you got Bloomfield.
Belleville.
Yeah, you got Belleville, you got Bloomfield.
That's a beautiful town, by the way, Belleville. A friend of mine bought out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got what was I gonna say? Newark. Newark is popping, man. Everybody is buying
about that
right now, and I
don't see that yet, but it's got a lot of work to do.
Because if you're closer to the Ironbound section, where pretty much the PATH train is, that train takes you into New York City.
Yeah.
And the closer you are to a train line, the more valuable your real estate is, because people usually will work in New York City, but they may not live in New York City, and they'll live in another state. You know, there you go.
I worked in Times Square And I specifically moved to Edgewater because it's only like a 20-minute drive, even with traffic. You know what I mean? That was the only reason why I chose Edgewater, because I'm originally from Staten Island. And you guys already know that trip is just like a freaking nightmare, whether you're driving, whether you're taking a ferry, no matter what, it's just a nightmare. So I was like, all right, I heard about Edgewater. And this was like 11 years ago when Edgewater was still like a dump site, and it's just so crazy.
It was just land. That's all it was.
It was just like all the boats, you know, that don't work, like a boat graveyard for boats, which is crazy.
Yeah, they cleaned that up.
It's just crazy how it's bloomed, and now all the celebrities live there. Like Cardi B was living there. Absolutely. I lived right next door to Joe Button at one time, and there's like all these celebrities that are just crowding into Edgewater. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's where you get that tough girl syndrome from, Staten Island, huh?
You know what I'm saying?
Talking with the R, instead of saying peace, so you say peacer.
It's like instead of Angelina, you say Angeliners.
Angeliners.
Amanda.
Beniners.
Yo, I want a soda. Where's my soda at?
Soda. That's that Brooklyn and Staten Island shit.
That's that Staten Island shit. That's what annoying. He's like, I'm always in the Heights. And he's like, but she's not from the Heights. Like, you can just tell the way she talks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm from Staten Island.
Hey, man, shout out to Stanley.
And it is an island.
And Gian. They're on the live right now saying what's up.
Hey, what's going on?
Gian, you know, the Mason and Stanley. You know what I'm saying? They're like, yo, Dora.
What's up?
Yeah. So listen, other towns would be like East Orange. You got Irvington. If you want to go a little further south, Union County, so Union, Rahway, those areas. There's a lot of different areas that if you do your research and you see where people are buying and people are selling, you can jump into those areas, you know, at the price point you're looking for, you know. So
right. What was interesting is I remember hearing, I think on the radio or in the news a few years ago, probably like maybe 4 years ago, they were kind of giving away properties almost for free in Newark, specifically in Newark. Where if you were to get a house into contract or something like that, the government will reimburse you your closing costs and stuff like that. You had to live in the house for a year, but you could pretty much buy a house for like less than $5,000, like a whole entire house. You know,
there were these programs out there. I'm not sure if they're still around, but I know what you're talking about. Where that's pretty. A lot of towns do that when they're looking to revitalize certain areas. And so it's a like way to attract people. Yeah, so it's a way to attract people and businesses into the area, so that area can start growing and revitalizing, and you know, like we see in a lot of parts of New York, gentrifying. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of these towns out here do. Patterson, I don't know if they're still doing that to this day, but I know that back a while ago they had a revitalization program. I think they actually still do, now that I think about it. But a lot of towns do that, and it's really just to attract, you know, people to come in and help bring the town back up, you know.
Do you think, given the situation with the pandemic, that scenarios like that will happen again? Maybe not specifically Newark or other cities. Do you see, like, do you foresee that happening more often, you know, just to revitalize, especially now in the time where everybody's like moving to Denver or moving to Florida and other towns are becoming empty? Like, do you see more of that in the future?
I do, and if a lot of these towns don't do that, then it's not going to be pretty for them in the future. I mean, this pandemic has hit a lot of people extremely hard. A lot of businesses are done. You know, like there's businesses that will never be able to come back from this. The businesses that are still keeping their doors open, you know, if there's lockdowns or not, they're struggling. You know, so I can
by a thread.
I can definitely. Yeah, exactly. So I can definitely see, you know, a lot of these towns, if they don't have a revitalization program, then implementing one to pretty much help and, you know, trying to clean up the damage that this pandemic, you know, brought to this country, you know. So
I
can see that.
In Newark, primarily they did that because Newark for a long time was like the murder capital of the United States. It had highest crime rate. And it's a great advertisement, you know, like is a great way to advertise your town in the sense so they can build back up, like you said.
Absolutely.
And Newark, you know, is coming up because of that. And, you know, like you said, anything that's close to transportation, in New Jersey, people definitely start moving in around that area because they can come to New York and work. Most people work in New York.
Whenever you see new construction popping up, like literally homes being built from the ground up, that's something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
That means there's something happening, that these big companies or big developers are coming into these towns and dumping money into it and building from the ground up. That's not cheap, you know? And then to do that at volume, that's when you can start noticing, okay, there's something going on out here. And
Yeah.
that's what I mean. You're from Edgewater, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened in Edgewater. That's what's happening. That's what happened in
Oh, with
Hoboken.
my eyes, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's what happened in Hoboken. That's what happened in Jersey City. That's what's happening now. When you start coming up into our parts of Jersey, you start seeing these new constructions pop up. It's because people are moving further and further out. But like I said, the closer you are to a train station or to a train line, the better it is for that particular real estate and that market in that area. So
I'm seeing a lot of new construction down here in Florida too. Like, especially, I guess, so many people are moving from up north from New Jersey or New York. They're moving down here, and I see like right next to us, there's just this empty lot with 4 houses in it. Like, that's it. But you could tell that they're gonna fit about probably 200 houses in there. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fast everything is developing.
You know, back in 07, 08, the Great Recession, that crash that happened, one of the main reasons, or the main reason why the economy crashed and we went into that recession, was because real estate declined. But the reason why real estate declined was, yes, because, it was the wild, wild west out there back then with mortgages, but there was a lot of new construction out there, like a lot of new construction. And people weren't buying anymore because the economy went down. Now, fast forward to 2020, I think they announced that we are in a recession. If they haven't announced it, we definitely are, because the economy has been all over the place. But
yeah, like, hello, in case you've been hiding under a rock.
You know what I mean? Like 2020 needs to end already. But, the difference between then and now is that now there isn't that much new construction out here. You'll see it, but it's not as prominent as it was back then. So now, and the problem now back then was that there was too much supply and very little demand. Whereas now there's too much demand and very little supply, which is why, in my opinion, real estate is keeping the economy up right now, because people want to buy. Interest rates are super low. There's no inventory out there. So the supply is down at the ground, and then the demand is through the roof. So prices are still skyrocketing out here when somebody wants to buy a house. That's, in my opinion, that's the difference between 07, 08 and now. And that's why I think the economy is, although it's slowed down compared to previous years, real estate is holding it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And also all regulations when it comes to mortgages now, like people, you got to qualify to get a mortgage now, so.
Yeah. I mean, what current deals does Blue Anchor Properties have? Any hot deals out there for people looking to
for regular Joe Schmo like me? I want a house.
What do you guys got going on,
8
man?
bedrooms and a full toilet.
Well,
give us a sizzle.
Right now, we're in the process of renovating a 3-family that we're working on converting into a 4-family. The reason why we're doing that is because
you're adding an extra floor.
No, not at all. Actually, there's actually an extra apartment up there at the top of the house.
In the attic?
In the attic. It's a full-blown studio apartment. It's like,
wow,
very big, but the town doesn't recognize it as a 4-family. They recognize it as a 3. So that's where we come in, and we got to work with the town and get the right paperwork, legalize that apartment so that they can say, okay, now you have a 4-family instead of a 3. So we're working on that. We're renovating that property. The plan is to rent it out and get families in there to add that to our portfolio. And right now, another deal that we're working on, it'll be pretty similar to what we did with this Clifton flip, like the quartz countertops, very nice and modern. We're working on a single family flip out in West Orange, which is a pretty nice town out here in New Jersey. So we're working on that. And then we got some other deals in the pipeline that aren't official yet, but hopefully they become official in the next couple of weeks.
So when can people look forward to those projects? When will they be ready? Do you have applicants already in line for it?
No,
Or
no.
if somebody
So,
looking to apply to a prop, to be a tenant of yours, how
right.
can they go about doing that? Can you give that information?
Yeah, absolutely. But our process is pretty simple. Once we have an apartment that's ready to go, one of the first things we do is I put a for rent sign right in front of the house and I put my number and people start calling me and I'll give them the info. But for those that don't want to go that route, it'll be on Zillow, it'll be on Trulia, it'll be on Hotpads. We always go on Zillow and they blast it to the other websites, and they'll see the picture, they'll see what the rent will be. You could apply right there on the spot. You can set up an appointment to go see the property, to see the apartment. And usually our units, our apartments, they go within like 2 weeks, because we do, we deliver a good product, and people like what they see and they want to live in it. So,
right.
yeah.
Does Blue Anchor Properties have their own web portal where the people can see stuff?
Yeah, so right now the only website we have is blueanchornj.com, and that website is pretty much for anyone who's looking to sell a property to us, right?
Okay, I see.
So that's for if we have contacted a seller via phone or text or through a letter, they can go to the website and call in, or they can fill out a form and then we'll contact them. But what you're referring to is we're working on that. We're working on having a website to pretty much showcase what we do. And if we have any apartments available, then, or any properties we're looking to sell, you can go to that website, and that way we separate the two. We're working on that. So 2021, that's coming.
As you continue to grow, would you be willing to do a reality show or house flipping?
Be
up for that? Would you be up for that?
Honestly,
that was the question they just asked right now. One of the viewers,
you need to be very dramatic. Like, you got to ask your wife to cry and shit because the pipe exploded and there's water everywhere.
You know what's funny? So we have friends. Our friends that introduced us to real estate, they were actually on one of those house flipping shows. It was on the DIY network. I forget the name of the show, but they were
I'm a nerd.
They were flipping a property. Look it up. It's DIY house flippers. I forget the name.
Do it yourself house flippers.
Yeah, do it yourself. That's the network.
There's a DIY channel.
And they were actually on it, and they showed the process, and they told us how exactly it works. It's funny because I was helping my buddy like do some work there, and they were like, "Oh, just get us some footage from your phone." So I actually have like a 2-second like stint in that episode where you see me with like a saw. So that was pretty cool. you only see the back of my head, but I recognize the back of my head. You know what I mean? Like, I got big nose. I know that's me.
So, had I seen that episode, I would have recognized it too. Oh, that's Darwin.
That's Darwin, for sure. But it's funny because when Melena was about 7 months pregnant, he was actually trying to connect us with them, because we were working on a project at that point. But my wife was too pregnant. She was like, I don't want to deal with any of that right now. I just want to get this baby out. That's it. So if that idea were thrown at us, we would probably entertain it. Why not? I think it would be fun. So
yeah. That question came from one of our viewers that was watching, some random person. I don't know who it is.
If you need a stunt double, I'm really good at crying.
Oh yeah, I got you. Don't worry.
So let me know.
Well, I think you already answered this question, but Gian, know Gian, right?
Of course, Gian, what's up?
The Mason, right?
Mason.
Guy's into a secret society. He runs the world on the low. We already asked this, but maybe you can like touch up a little bit, because we don't want problems with the Masons. They might shut us down. They don't want to shut us down. He said, what made you switch from your 9 to 5 to become an entrepreneur, and what mind hurdles do you go through?
Good question. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. That's really what it was at the end of the day. I got like right when I started working, when I was in college, the first thing I started doing, I worked in a life insurance office. One of my good friends, his father at that time owned a life insurance office. And I was like, I'm just out of high school. I'm about to go to college. I need to start making money so I could buy a car so I can drive myself to college. Can you give me a job? So he was like, yeah, no problem. Work over the summer, save your money, get your car. But during that time, I learned a lot about life insurance, and I learned about business and being an entrepreneur. fast forward a couple months later, I ended up getting my life insurance license, and I started working for a company that a lot of people know, Primerica Financial Services. And I was selling life insurance. And that's how I started my entrepreneurial journey. But that's not something that I wanted to do. But it was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted to be able to control my time. I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want, no questions asked. And I just have the personality that, no, you know, like,
he's a go-getter, man.
I'm a go-getter, but like when it comes to like,
does not give up. He's charismatic as fuck.
Like,
he can sell candy to a diabetic.
Like I'm a go-getter. I hustle, but when it comes to like, I don't like being told what to do. I like doing what I want to do, you know? So even though I've always had a boss, I've never been able to like actually like click with a boss, because I always have my own way of doing things. So then we got introduced to real estate, and it was something that we just started part-time while I was working my 9 to 5. And then eventually I just started seeing that, wow, I could actually turn this into something that a lot of people have already done. This isn't something new. Like, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm literally doing what a lot of other people have done.
Oh, you froze up.
We may add our own flavor, our own sauce to it, but I froze up.
Okay, no,
you're back. You're back. You're moving. You was like.
I froze for a second.
That was funny.
You're like, freeze, buddy. Put your hands up.
Should have took a snapshot of that.
Then you was burglarizing one of your properties. Hey, put up. I'm the owner. I'm the one that bought this place. I'm renovating.
For real. So yes, I mean, long story short, I always had that in me. And then real estate was what really like sparked that fire. And that's when I realized, like, I finally have something that I can do full time as an entrepreneur, as a business. But then the mindset that Gian was touching on, it's a constant grind, man. Like it's a constant grind. Like there's good days, there's bad days, there's days that are just neutral. But you got to wake up and just keep the end goal in mind, that all the sacrifices that we're making, it's for a reason. You know what I mean? Like everything that we're doing, all the headaches that we have to go through, it's for a reason. And there's light at the end of that tunnel. I credit that a lot to, number one, you know, my wife. Me and her, we're like this when it comes to keeping each other in check, when it comes to things like that. Personal development. You know, I wasn't a big reader before I met my wife, Milena. Now I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. It doesn't have to be just a real estate book. I read a lot of mindset stuff, a lot of personal development things that I feed my mind, and I want to make sure that no matter what, I'm looking at things from a positive standpoint. Negatives are always going to happen. That's a given. But how you handle it is what determines your success at the end of the day. And that's how we go about it, day in and day out, no matter what.
I watched the interview.
Yeah.
I watched the interview you had over the summer in another podcast.
Yeah.
And you and your wife spoke on how meditation, when you guys wake up in the morning, you guys have a little cup of coffee, and you guys go into like a meditation situation, and you guys basically project what you guys have in mind, right?
Absolutely. That process right there, pretty much just like, it grounds us for the day. Like we start the day on a good note, you know. We're not perfect, you know. We try to be as consistent as possible with it, but the process where it's from a book. It's not something that we invented. It's from a book called The Millionaire. What's it called? The Millionaire, Miracle Morning Millionaires. Sorry, Miracle Morning Millionaires by Hal Elrod, and another gentleman, I forget his name. But basically, the process goes: you wake up and you sit in silence. The acronym is SAVERS, S-A-V as in Victor, E-R as in Robert, S. So silence. So you sit and meditate for as long as you want. Me, I could only meditate for 10 minutes. After that, I either pass out because it's 5 a.m. or I zone out and I have a lot of other things going on in my mind. Then after that, the A is for affirmations. So we each have our own affirmations. I have my affirmations on my phone, and I'm literally just reading my affirmations for the next 5-10 minutes, just repeating it. Because again, it's like you said, what you put out there is what you receive.
Wow.
The next one is V, which is visualization. So you sit for another 5-10 minutes and you visualize your future. You visualize your day, how you want your day to go. So if we have a big project going on, I sit and I just visualize how I want that project to go, or I visualize, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, what I want my life to look like. E is for exercise. So I get up and I stretch for 5, 10 minutes, get the blood flowing. And then R is reading. So I sit down for half hour, 45 minutes, read the book that I'm reading at that moment. And then finally, S is scribing or journaling. That's not something that I haven't picked up yet. I am planning on doing that starting next year, because there's a lot of power in putting your thoughts on paper, and then actually seeing and reading it, and then actually repeating that, and then now going into your day, and just pretty much crushing your day after that. So that's the process that we try to follow every day. And we wake up at the crack of dawn. We try to get up at 5:30 in the morning, which means we're in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, so.
Yeah. The most successful people in the world, they actually describe those same methods that you just described.
Yeah.
They go, they meditate and they visualize what they want to do, then they manifest it in reality. Absolutely. And they always also write everything down and they repeat it to themselves.
Absolutely.
The most successful people in the world actually have testimony on that. So you're on the right path, brother.
Yeah, and me and Nelly and Josh and all of them, Gian, Stan, like we all grew up playing baseball. Like me, like baseball, I don't play baseball anymore, but baseball was such a routine-oriented sport. Like practicing the fundamentals and, waking up and doing what you got to do, having a structure in place, having that discipline. I feel like that's played a huge role in my life to where I am now, because I'm very routine oriented. And if my wife will tell you, if my routine is thrown off, my day over. My day is over. Like I get really weird, like, yo, what's happening right now, So I do credit a lot of, how I go about things now to how I grew up, being around that baseball culture, around that sport culture. That played a huge, huge role in my life for sure.
All right, man.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dalwin. I know a lot of people are always wondering, like, how, like, especially for people who are working the regular 9 to 5 and they still can't make it, especially given the pandemic making the situation worse. So thank you so much for sharing that, with people to maybe start a new routine.
Absolutely.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. That's for sure.
Never give up, man. Never give up.
That's right.
At the end of the day, they say that God made us in his image. We're not God, but we have certain powers that if we center ourselves around it, we can make things happen.
Absolutely.
Listen, let's dive into those statistics to see if maybe you could debunk them.
Okay.
Or fact check them for us. Let's just have a little fun with it.
All right.
This is for and let's try to be as detailed as we can, because we also have listeners that are not watching through YouTube.
Yeah.
That they can't really see where we're pulling up the articles. Okay.
Okay.
Real quick, give me a quick second there. They can
make sure you guys take notes, all you listeners out there.
Take notes, man. We're gonna try to describe this as best as we can, because the listeners can't see the visuals, but you guys can go on YouTube and check the visuals if you guys want there. But we're gonna try our best to describe it. All right, guys, just let me know if you can see this here. Can you see this?
Here we go.
Now we can, yeah.
Okay, there we go. We got it.
All right.
Okay, hey, you got it.
So this is from FitSmallBusiness.
Okay.
This is a real estate statistic site. They're very popular. I go there all the time just to look at statistics, because I'm looking into buying property soon. So I might be hollering at you.
Our boy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
I'll have a day with you. I'll meditate. I'll wake up with you, meditate. I'll jump around with you and do all the
meditate. Let's buy that property.
Yeah, just don't call him at 5 in the morning.
No, I'll go there and I'll do the whole starting process. I'll meditate with you and all that.
Yeah.
Before buying the house, we'll get the house and get it.
A little yoga.
We get the evil spirits out of the house first.
I just can't.
For real.
All right, so here we go. So number 1, 40.6 of people under 35 years are homeowners. Right, so we spoke about that earlier.
Yeah. I think that's true, man. Like right now, there's a huge like rush of like millennials buying a property, whether it's a single family home, a multifamily, a condo, whatever it is. Like there's that young generation right now that is getting into the real estate game and buying their their own properties right now. So I would say that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah, and it says that this demographic includes newly married couples and people with young children.
Yeah.
These buyers are seeking starter homes, new constructions to fit their budget. Which,
yeah,
I mean, if you're under 35 years old, you probably don't have a lot of capital, so you're looking for something that fits your budget, right?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
There you go. So that was fact number one. I mean, see, number two, the average price of luxury homes has climbed 1.6% year over year.
Yeah. So it's funny that you bring this up. I read an article when the pandemic first started, or after things started opening up after the pandemic. There was like a huge spike in luxury home sales. And it was because a lot of people, this was in New Jersey. There were a lot of people that were leaving New York City who were in the high rises and those, luxury condos with the views, and paying, millions for a small apartment in a sense. And they were now coming over, crossing the bridge and going to some of the luxury neighborhoods out here and buying bigger properties for the same amount of money that they spent for their condo in New York City. And now they have more space. They have a backyard now. That way they're not cooped up in the house all day during these lockdowns. So that sounds pretty accurate to me too, actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you could the more you can get for your buck, the better, right?
Yeah, for sure.
There is an 80.4% chance a person above 65 years old is a homeowner.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's that baby boomer generation. There's a lot of baby boomers in this country that own a home, and I don't have anything else to say about that because that's 100% true.
Yeah, for sure, man. So it says here, the Census Bureau, for those 65 or older, is the highest of all groups surveyed that own homes. So if you're 65 years or older, United States of America most likely own a home.
Yep, there you go.
Nationwide. Millennials make up 73% to 75% of new buyers in mid-sized towns, Madison, Wisconsin, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. You're not from that area, but
believe it though.
Millennials are, but it's just like
are pushing this economy, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are for sure. So I mean, just millennials in general. You don't have to be from this area to know that we are doing a good job at that.
Absolutely.
So the top most popular areas for millennials are Seattle, Washington, Omaha, Nebraska, Madison, Wisconsin, Grand Rapids, Missouri, and Durham, North Carolina.
And I would say that these places, along with others that aren't named here, these places are popular because there's probably huge tech companies out there, huge engineering companies.
Google.
I'm pretty I would bet that that's probably one of the main reasons why those parts of the country are popular, along with others that aren't named here, like Austin, Texas isn't on this. Austin, Texas right now is popping. Like people want to live down in Austin because there's this huge tech scene down there. And there's just a huge surge of a lot of business happening in places like Austin, or like you mentioned earlier, Denver, Colorado. So I believe this for sure.
Dude, I went into a rabbit hole one night because I'm looking into buying soon by the summer, right?
Yeah.
I was like, what if I don't have to stay in the tri-state area? Let me look in the Midwest.
Right.
And I'm looking at this right now. Nebraska, there's like a little town. I forget the name of the town. It was in Omaha. It was a little town in Nebraska. Okay. They actually, how we was talking earlier, how certain towns they like to attract new homeowners. They have certain things in place. Literally, they will give you $2,000 just to go buy, in credit to just buy property out there. So the locals towns committee will give you $2,000 if you buy property. Just here's your gift, $2,000 for you.
It's to bring people in. Yeah, there you go. A lot of places in the country are doing that for sure.
Yeah.
That's probably pertaining to that resurrecting.
The revitalization.
That we were talking about earlier. That's interesting.
Yeah. So number 5, more than 900,000 houses were sold in the United States in July 2020. We touched up on that earlier. Remember I told you that's a lot. That's a crazy number.
I believe it, man. Like that, the real estate market was already booming pre-COVID, COVID came and slowed things down, but the demand was still there. And then out of nowhere, things started opening up again, and then things just started skyrocketing because it was like a firecracker in a bottle. Like it was explosive, it's crazy out here. I'm telling you, the property that we're in December now, and in real estate, this time of the year is like the slowest time of the year. It's cold out here in the Northeast. It's the holiday season. For the most part, a lot of people aren't thinking about buying a property. This property that we just put on the market, we got over 30 offers. That's unheard of during this time of the year.
Wow.
So,
they're thinking about that expensive tennis bracelet they got to buy their wives.
For real.
But remember earlier, you mentioned this actually earlier, that the stay-at-home orders cause people to question, like whether their home was big enough or their apartment or wherever they lived at, if their living conditions were up to code. As far as like being away from society, because everybody wanted to be away from each other as far as possible, right? So this says it right here. Stay-at-home orders cause many people to question whether or not their existing homes were still the best option for their lifestyle.
Exactly.
So this is the reason why a lot of people bought homes, because they're like, you know what? I'm getting out of the fucking or this urban city, whatever, New York. There's too many. My neighbors are pieces of shit. I'm in close quarters with them. I'm leaving. I'm buying a house. Honey, we're buying a home.
If I'm gonna be locked up in my house, I'd rather be locked up in my own house that I own, and I got a backyard and I can just hang out.
That's and I don't have to look over someone's naked yoga through the window.
Oh my God, that shit happened to me one day. I was looking, I heard like this loud sound, right, coming from the alleyway where my window's at. I live in an apartment. I live in New York City. And I looked out the window, and lo and behold, my fucking neighbor right across, he was in like his boxer shorts, and he's like a big guy, right, with a big belly. He was just doing jumping jacks. With, like, balls of
doing one of these, like
he was doing jumping jacks, and his balls are bouncing up and down. Like you can see it from the boxer briefs. Like, what the fuck? So I had this little like I had a quarter.
I can't unsee that.
I threw it. And he looked like, what? Like, stop doing that shit. Close the curtains.
That's mad funny.
Yo, ever since then,
you know how they are in New York, they're like, then don't look then.
Don't look.
Yeah, yo, and it's been so awkward with him, because we bump into each other in the elevator sometimes, and we're just like in silence like this. Ever since then,
this is awkward.
That awkward silence.
And then we'd be like, have a good night. Have a good day. And that's it. That's what we say. We actually had a good relationship prior to that. And I was like, awkward.
That's hilarious.
Like you can't unsee that now. Like just everything like
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, that's too funny.
All righty. The median price of a home in the United States in 2020 is $304,000.
Listen, in the tri-state area, that is not true. But that is, I can see that true because, it's a big country. I mean, I don't know how many people live in this country, but we got 50 states, and there's parts of the country that, the cost of living is very, very low compared to us where we are right now in the tri-state area. So I can definitely believe that, but that number is not true for where we are right now.
Oh, no, the tri-state area is definitely the most, one of the most expensive areas to live in the country, for sure.
The tri-state area and like the coastal regions, like, Florida, depending on where you are, the West Coast, like Cali, it can get expensive,
Yeah. Actually, the most expensive place to live in the United States is San Francisco right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then New York is like 3, I think. New York is number 3.
Yeah, for sure.
New York City is very expensive to live in.
Yeah.
Florida is rising. You could tell that it's definitely rising because houses are like in my neighborhood, I live in a subdivision in Orlando, and there's like last time I visited a few months ago, there were like a few houses for sale, but right now, I walk the dog around the neighborhood and there's nothing for sale. Nothing for sale. Everything is taken.
So to answer your question, 331 million people live in the United States right now.
There you go.
And those are just legal. And there's a lot of illegal people here too.
Exactly. So you could already.
I'm one of them.
There you go.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah.
And you reign red and you represent.
I'm from an island called Staten Island.
Oh, Staten Island.
Yeah. I don't know how I got there, but here I am.
It's like you guys don't even like. Technically, Staten Island is a borough, but nobody thinks of it as a borough.
That long age debate. Like, is Staten Island really a borough though? Like,
yeah, it is. It is technically, right? But
I mean, it is.
It is.
But we dump all our trash over there. It's, that's what people are like. Staten Island. It's not a borough. It is. People think Long Island. People think Long Island is a borough, and it's not.
I was gonna say a lot of people think that Long Island is actually a borough because you actually, people go over.
Get that mixed up. When I tell them I'm from Staten Island, they're like, "Oh yeah. Long Island is no Staten Island."
Listen, I grew up in the Bronx, and I played baseball everywhere. But Staten Island, I can count on my hand how many times I've been to Staten Island, and I don't need my 5 fingers for that. I haven't been there that often. I hear it's nice though.
Jesus. Staten Island is called a forgotten borough. There's actually a term they use,
But it's like $18 to cross the Verrazano Bridge.
Crazy.
Like they don't want you to be there. I think they did that on purpose. They don't want nobody crossing the bridge.
Yeah, it's pretty.
They don't want nobody in Staten Island.
Well, they did, so nobody comes.
$25 soon. I won't be surprised.
No, it's actually you pay coming back, not going, right?
You pay leaving.
Coming back, coming into New York.
I think
coming to the city, you got to pay, not going.
I think you're right.
So they don't exactly. Once you
and there's only one train there. Like it's pretty interesting because that one train is free. It's not like like the rest of the city, from Manhattan or the Bronx, you got to pay to get in the train. The train in Staten Island is free.
They got the ferry too. The ferry,
which is also free.
Is it free? Is it still free? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. So, however, the average cost of starter homes in the United States with no luxury upgrades remains between $150,000 to $250,000.
There you go.
According to the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
NAR. NAR. Like Garcia. On average, it takes a home buyer 30 to 45 days to buy a property. Is that true?
Okay, so that's true pre-COVID. Right now, now that we are in the middle of a pandemic, real estate is still going, but things have slowed down when it comes to the mortgage process. A lot of people have to remember that people are buying properties. So these mortgage companies are crazy busy, but people are also refinancing to try to get these better rates. So then now these mortgage companies are getting hit twice. So that slows down the process tremendously, which means the appraisers that are coming out to appraise the value of the property, they're backed up. So typically you put a house on the contract and within a week you can get your inspection and appraisal done. Now it's taking a little longer because they got other properties to go and inspect and appraise. So technically right now, what we're seeing, like the average time during this pandemic is about 60 to 90 days right now.
Shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So it's taking a long time to close on a property. You can still close. You got to just be a little more patient.
Well, yeah, man. So about completing the legal aspect of it too, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So studies show the best cities for families are Fishers and Carmel in Indiana. Sorry, Indiana people, we're not focused on you. We're focused on the real populated areas in the United States. We don't even know Carmel, Indiana.
I don't know where it is. You told me where to point it. I'm like,
yeah, nowhere. I have no idea where that is on the map.
I don't remember where that was.
But I just read up on it just in case. We have people from Indiana listen to our show actually. So
shout out to Indiana.
Shout out to Indiana.
There you go, Indiana. But for Carmel, I'm sorry, I don't know who you guys are, but real estate studies conducted by Apartment show that the best cities for families are Fishers and Carmel in Indiana. This is based on safety, child friendliness, education, and affordability.
Yeah, there you go.
All righty, great for Indiana, Carmel. So if you guys are concerned about friendliness and education and affordability, Carmel, Indiana is your place to go, right? First-time home buyers are predicted to compromise 33% of the market in 2020.
Yeah, I believe that. And it's because what we were talking about before, rates are super low, and the fact that you can get into a property as a first-time home buyer with 3.5% down and lock down a rate for under 3% right now. That means that, you know, last year, if you wanted to get into a property that was $400,000, but your rate was going to be about a 4%, that's a major difference compared to now getting into a property where your rate could be under 3%. And now you have more purchasing power at that point. So I definitely believe that first-time home buyers are a major part of the real estate market now and going into 2021 for sure.
Yeah, I mean the National Association of Realtors, they can do a real good job of keeping the statistics in order. So there's the 33% of all buyers in 2020.
Yeah.
There you go.
That brings up a question. I want to piggyback on that. So the people who are I forgot what that was. The people who are how do you think this affects like the wholesaling side? Because you know there's house flipping, there's wholesaling. How do you think this affects like the wholesaling portion of it? You know, especially taking 90 days to close on a deal.
Well, typically when somebody is wholesaling a property, they're usually marketing a wholesale deal to a cash buyer or to somebody that can close quickly.
They already have do they usually have these cash buyers, or is it like
I mean that's what Blue Anchor Properties does, right? You guys do that.
I mean, they usually have a list of cash buyers in the area that have bought properties for cash. And when I say cash, that's a loaded gun right there. So some people think that, oh, I'm a cash buyer. That means, oh, I got the money in the bank ready to go. Not necessarily. That can be the case. But then also, if you're using a hard money lender, which we do, we use hard money lenders to fund our deals. We're considered cash buyers because our hard money lender can close on a deal within a week. So that's
beautiful.
That's interesting.
You know? But then there's other people that that instead of having their own cash, they have private lenders that fund the deals for them. Or some people have lines of credit. So people have lines of credit in the bank ready to go that if they want to purchase a property, they just got to pull the money from their line of credit and then buy it and then just keep it moving. So the wholesaling, what I feel that's happening right now in wholesaling is because prices are going up, a lot of wholesalers are seeing that, and obviously they can make more profits because the demand is still there. Like us buyers, we want, even us as investors, cash buyers, we want properties. So they're able to make a bigger spread in between their purchase and the sale price or the assignment price. But what I see happening, at least out here in Jersey, a lot of these wholesalers are marketing their price pretty much at the point where it's like a retail price, meaning they're wholesaling a property and they're marketing it at $280,000 when a lot of the properties on the MLS on the market are going for the same price right now. Okay. So it's kind of like they're competing with the retail buyers right now. So it's kind of, it makes it a little competitive for them. But then for cash buyers like us, when it comes to our numbers, we scrutinize the numbers like religiously. I'm not going to buy something at retail. Like I want to buy something at a discount so that I have that spread as well. Right. So that's what I see is happening out here too. So
you got to be a bargain shopper.
Exactly.
By any means necessary. Every dollar counts. Let's try to move it along because we got like 20 of these to go through. We got number 10. Only 29% of the home buyers found the home using an agent. Many buyers believe that most common way to find a house is using a real estate agent. The reality is that according to NAR, the National Association of Realtors, most people find a new home online and then locate an agent to show them the property.
Yeah, so that's what I was referring to before, like going online, looking at properties. Once you see that property, you're going to see the listing agent, the agent that actually is selling that property for the seller. You could literally reach out to them directly and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I want to go see this property that you have on the market. They're going to most likely ask you, oh, are you pre-approved? If yes, great. If not, then that realtor, he or she will say, okay, well, let's get you pre-approved first with the team that I have in place already. Let's see if your pre-approval is enough to go see this property. If it is, then by all means, let's rock and let's go see that property. So that's definitely, back in the day, it wasn't like that where you can just log on to Zillow, see a property and reach out to a realtor. No, back in the day, you had to either call your local real estate agent office, go into the newspaper, figure out a way to get connected to a realtor, when now it's just a click away.
That's great, man. Technology is awesome.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. Miami is the least competitive housing market for buyers, meaning that it's the strongest for buyers, right? That's what least competitive means, that there's not that many like bidding wars going on. There's not a war in bidding.
Yeah, it says here there are two types of housing markets: strong for sellers and strong for buyers. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the Florida market or Miami. I just know that Miami, it can get very expensive depending on which parts of Miami you're in. So I can definitely see that being true, that because of the price points, you know, it's not as competitive out there.
And because, you know, they don't want to, you know, all the parties go down there, people on cocaine running around and shit in the streets.
Living it up out there.
Deal with everything. Fuck the fucking college kids. You find a bunch of college kids on your front porch. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Everyone is doing that down there. But it's crazy because Miami, like, I remember one time I drove from Fort Lauderdale to Miami and I took the long way. I just went along the water, the A1A all the way. And I just, it was so like mind boggling to me. There's hundreds and hundreds and millions of thousands of condos out there. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That's crazy. Like, you know, when you're in the Bronx and you see all the projects and you see like, wow, this must be hundreds of thousands of apartments in there. No, like Miami is like quadruple.
That's crazy.
Listen, I mean, in Miami, the area that I would hate to live in would be South Beach, be a homeowner. Yeah. If I'm looking for tranquility,
that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen. I used to live in Miami for 3 years. Woo. Yeah. Once it's partying,
look at her face. You know,
just on my face, I was just like, "Woo!" I'm still dealing with that hangover years down later. Yeah. I'm still hungover from that shit.
You had an epic look on your face that you know that you party.
I should screenshot that.
Party hard down there for sure. You can tell you was like your eyes rolled back and all that.
I was reliving it like
your exorcist in the house. The power of Christ compels you, Dalwin.
Oh man!
Oh man! Homes listed online on Thursdays, sell on average for $3,000 more than the listing price.
I mean, that could be true when you're taking the country as a whole and averaging it out, but I can speak for our area, New Jersey, and up here like northern New Jersey. Properties right now are going $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over asking right now, or more. Wow. And that's because this market is super competitive right now.
Yeah, I mean every market has like their days too, because for travel and leisure, which is you know, obviously a different industry.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they got super hot deals. That's like the little like inside scoop of them.
Yep.
So I mean, maybe this is true for certain parts of the country, like you said, but in your area, it's a little bit different.
When it comes to real estate, like the best time for someone to sell and for someone to buy is usually like the springtime going into the summer.
Yeah.
Weather's nicer. A lot of
families coming.
Yeah, you know, like a lot of families are looking for a new place to live because they may want to be closer to work or move their kids to another school district. It's usually around the spring going into the summertime that the real estate market picks up. But this year has been like that just because of COVID. COVID threw everything out of whack. So it's just been hot literally the entire year, other than like first part of the year. So
I can definitely see that because in general, countrywide, right?
Yeah.
Most school systems are on vacation, like around that time. The kids are on vacation. The parents can travel to see property.
There you go.
And then if they buy a home, they can list them right away in school in that area. You know what I mean? So that's the perfect time to do it. It's hard to really like, it's kind of like traumatizing to grab a kid, right?
Yeah.
Who's been going half a year to a particular school and then you move over to another town and he has to start new in another school.
Yeah.
It's kind of traumatizing. There's statistics on that too.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, man. So here we go. 26% of sellers, agents spend their own money staging homes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. We actually thought about staging our current flip, but we decided not to just because we had a very good feeling that we were going to do well regardless, because the lack of inventory and the type of product we're putting on the market, we had a feeling we were going to get a lot of demand, and we did. But a lot of people do actually stage their homes. Like a lot of people like us will buy a property, fix it up, and then stage it so that people, when they come in, they can visualize and see how they may end up living in that house. It's not a bad idea. You just gotta work that cost into your numbers. But I know people that do that, and it works well for them. So
yeah, I believe they're saying that the most effective way is to do a virtual staging, so you don't have to. You know,
nowadays with COVID, that's been a huge thing. The virtual tours, or anything virtual now, you know. So
so even if you have a home that is all like, you know, it's not in the best condition, digitally you can design it and present that to a buyer doing virtual staging.
It's crazy. There's actually some listings out there now that they will show you, like, it's a renovated property.
What it could look like.
Yeah, like they'll show you that it's a renovated property. One picture is the living room empty, and then the next picture is digitally staged. And it's like, oh wow, that looks nice. And sometimes, like, if you don't really look at it, you actually may think it's real, but it's actually digital the whole time.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
Yeah, it's all an illusion, man.
Really? What? It's like that filter they did with the PS5. Yo. And they had it on the bed, and the girlfriends were tricking their boyfriends like, I got you a PS5, and they come home and it was just a filter.
I kid you not. You know, I come from I'm first generation, right? From immigrants, parents, and they're not hip on the video game thing, right? Yeah. And I was playing The Sims. I remember when The Sims were popular.
Yeah.
And the graphics weren't that lit at that time. They were like normal, but they're litter now. You know, the graphics have improved now. But even then, I remember my parents came into the room that I was in, and they seen like The Sims. You know what The Sims are, right?
Yeah.
You build your own town, whatever.
Absolutely.
And they thought that it was actually like a movie I was watching. People like walking around in their homes and shit. I was like, no, it's a video game.
I believe it.
Crazy.
I believe it.
Only 8% of homeowners regret buying instead of renting.
Yeah, I believe it, man. A lot of people, they take pride in ownership and owning their own property. Even more so those people that buy a property like a multifamily and rent out one side or multiple apartments and they live in one of the other ones. I agree with that. You know, we have plans of our first property that we buy for ourselves, because we currently rent right now. Our first property that we buy for ourselves, we want it to be a multifamily so that we can still keep our rent, you know, low as possible. So I believe that for sure.
That would be the smartest move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the unexpected maintenance. So the list of regrets goes as following: unexpected maintenance or repairs.
Yeah.
36%.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to move to a new home or location without selling. So those are, you know, it has a list of different things. You guys can check it out on fitsmallbusiness.com. Nice. Real estate statistics. So we're gonna move on from that, because that's a long ass list right there of shit.
That's just surprising to me.
Yeah, right. It's like,
why would you regret your house? You know.
Yeah, only 8%. That's a small percentage, I think.
Small, yeah.
So small. Like, maybe some people regret it because they get married, they move in, and then they get a divorce 2 years later or something. I don't know.
It's like, oh,
that might be the highest one. I just
realized I got to deal with you every day.
Yeah. Okay, Americans spend on average 50% of their earnings on buying a new home.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that in a sense, because, you know, not everybody, even if you qualify, not everybody wants to do the 3.5% down. Some people will do, you know, the 20-25% down so that they have more equity in the house. But then that depends, you know, how much you're making. It could be, you know, 50% of your household income. So I can see that. It also depends on where you're buying. You know, if you're buying in a tri-state area, your price points are a lot higher. Your price of living is a lot higher, so your income should be a lot higher, right? I mean, it should be, at least. Whereas you're looking at other parts of the country, cost of living is low. So, you know, your income is a lot lower out there, but, you know, prices on properties are low. So it all goes hand in hand, I think.
For sure, man. Home buyers in 2009 spent 3 fewer days searching for homes than they did in 2018. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is.
I can see that. Technology, man.
Technology probably sped it up, right?
Yeah, for sure, man.
I mean,
filtering out the houses that you're not interested in, that you know are not gonna work for your budget, I
You
guess.
got
You know,
Zillow,
realistically.
you got Trulia, you got Redfin, you got Estately. Like you have all these different websites that you can just go on. You can set up alerts, and depending on what you're looking for, and next thing you know, you're getting emails every day on properties that are coming out. You know?
So the accessibility, that's what it is basically. Things are more accessible now than before.
All you need is this.
All you need is the power of the. We got Android or iPhone.
iPhone.
Okay, there you go. Team iPhone.
Hey.
Why are you trying to play with Dalwin like that?
You're like, what?
Team iPhone, baby.
More than 60% of homeowners stay in the state when they sell their home.
More than 60% of homeowners stay in the state when they sell their home.
So if you live in New Jersey, you sell a home there, you usually end up staying there. You don't move into another state.
Yeah, I mean, just the property that we're flipping now, that it's on the market, where we're done flipping and where we're gonna be selling it. They sold their property and they moved to another part of Jersey. So I mean, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
There you go.
Probably the comfortable level too. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
There are different areas to move around in Jersey. You know, there's the urban area and there's the rural area. But right. The last thing is in your mind, like moving to LA or Seattle, like that's just probably like way off.
Exactly.
The highest home ownership rate in the Midwest at 71.4%. So supposedly home ownership rates are higher in that part of the country than 71.1% in the South. And yeah, it's pretty popular out there. I guess because the cost of living is cheaper. It's really cheap to buy a house out there.
There you go.
Yeah. Gen Xers purchased the largest homes at 2,000 square feet.
That's interesting. That's an interesting statistic.
Yeah, right. I never had the hell. Generation X.
For 2,000 square feet, I mean, some of our properties, some of our two families are like 2,000 square feet. It's one apartment over the other, you know. But a one family, like a single family or an apartment that's 2,000 square feet, it's a lot of space.
A lot of space, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, so the Generation X, you guys are killing it.
Yeah.
Buying big ass spaces, y'all. Approximately 52% of buyers found their homes on the internet in 2019. You said it before. Zillow, the accessibility, the internet is killing the real estate game.
Absolutely.
And you don't even know, you don't even need to go down the block to your real estate agent anymore. You can just go online.
That's it. Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, for sure. And it says here, it's funny. It says bringing in roughly 190 million monthly visitors. Crazy.
I believe that, man. That's crazy.
Do you think that one is possible to purchase from beginning to end without even leaving your house? Like, have you
seen see that happening in the future? I can definitely see that. There isn't anything that I'm aware of like that out there at the moment. But I'm pretty sure someone is out there cooking that up right now as we speak, because the process of purchasing a home and the mortgage process, it's so outdated, like it's 2020. They have made some advances, but it's so outdated that it should be a lot more streamlined. And right now it's not. So I can definitely see that in the future, literally from your laptop, from your desktop, from your phone, the entire process. I can see that.
Like click and buy, like you're on Amazon.
I mean, right now you can buy a car online. That company, Carvana.
Oh my God, yeah. They bring it straight to your home.
Literally buy a car from your phone, then they'll deliver it to your house.
Yep. And they'll come pick up a car that you want to sell too.
And they'll come and pick up the car that you're looking to sell or trade. Exactly.
Yeah, they'll come. So if you got an old Honda chilling in the garage, you want to sell it?
Yep.
They'll appraise it for you
over the internet. I'm sure you could buy a house in the future.
And check this out. They appraise it based off the mileage.
Yeah, off of the mileage. Yep.
And I mean, you can have rusty leather couches. They don't give a fuck. They'll come pick that shit up.
They'll still pick it up anyway.
Yeah. I think they recycle those cars and they reuse the parts and all that shit. That's what probably.
They definitely do something with it.
And then if you don't like it, you can return it within 7 days, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Awesome. There's a return policy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't what I expected.
So no more dealing with the sleazy car dealerships. Those sleazy car dealers. They try to sell you a dream. And then you go and there's like a rust proof charge, a whole bunch of charges. Like, what the fuck? They sell you a lemon car. Come on.
For real, bro.
Car dealers at one point were very they had a very bad reputation.
Yeah.
because they were like bamboozle people, man. They'll
They're sharks, man. They were sharks.
Yeah. So here we go. So this is the reason why Zillow's in the number one place.
Yeah.
Because technology has made it possible, but also they have 92,000 agents listed on Zillow. It's a lot of fucking agents.
It's a lot.
Yeah, they got their own fucking little army there, fucking real estate agents.
That's
They could go to war, basically, with a little island in the Caribbean.
Seriously.
They got mad troops. Married people make up 61% of all homeowners.
I believe that. A lot of people, as soon as they get married, they're already in the market looking for a house. I could definitely believe. I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, who wants to live in a big ass house all by themselves, right?
Exactly.
Unless you're like a weirdo, you just want to be like in a big ass space,
or being married and living in your mother's garage or something.
Still trying to be a fucking rock star with
that's why.
Guitar all the time.
Oh my god! You fucking have a drum set in your mother's garage, still having dreams of being a rock star.
Oh man!
Your mother's throwing the chancla at you. Pendejo!
You're like, yo, ma, get the meatloaf, ma.
Good
job. Well, funny.
So many people who get married usually consider buying a home. Little surprised that then that 61% of the homeowners in the United States are married. This means that the other 39% are divorced, separated, or single. There you go.
There you go.
Damn.
Crazy. The cost of renting increased to 65% of counties across the United States as of March 2020. That's crazy.
I believe that.
Why did it increase so much?
How did during COVID? Like, how is that? People are.
What did they decrease because they want to have more people get into?
Yeah, I mean, listen. Right now, I mean, us personally, we haven't increased rents on anybody just because we just don't feel right doing it. To be very honest with you,
right?
With the situation that the whole country is in, but from the business standpoint, I see that happening because right now there's a lot of laws and regulations protecting the tenants, but there's nothing protecting the landlords right now.
Oh, you don't want a squatter.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, the banks right now are doing mortgage forbearance, which is cool, but that's just pretty much kicking the can down the curb. Like eventually the bank is going to want to get paid. And right now there isn't anything other than mortgage forbearance protecting the landlord, and there's a really bad misconception out there that if someone's a landlord, they got money, they're balling, they're rich. No, there's some people out here that own just one property and work 9 to 5, or they're like us that have a couple properties, but we're not millionaires. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no protection. So I understand this. Us personally, we made the executive decision between us not to increase rents during these times because it just wouldn't feel right for us. But there are, according to the statistics, there are people doing it,
I think that's evil.
Yeah.
Yo, it's crazy, man, because they have crazy rights, the squatters.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the time frame is. I think it's 30 days, right? After 30 days, they get they got a whole bunch of rights.
It's crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Something like that.
They're pretty much in some states, like they're pretty much considered a tenant, which you at that point have to then evict, which can be a very long and stressful process.
And you can't just shut off the electric. We had a situation like that in Staten Island where someone was living in our house, and it literally took us somewhere between 6 to 9 months to kick them out because the laws that are in place in New York like protect the squatters more than the owner. And they, at the same time, they were destroying the house. They ended up flooding the house. And it was illegal for the owner, who's my father. My father used to invest in real estate too. He had properties in Florida and in New York and New Jersey. So, but this particular property, like the lawyer told him, you can't even shut off the lights. If you shut off the lights, the squatter who is illegally in your house has the right to sue the owner. Ain't that some shit?
That's crazy. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, so, man. So I think it's in New York, I believe is like if you've been in a spot for more than 60 days or 90 days. No, it's 90 days. You get all the rights to stay there and fuck around with the landlord as much as you want.
It's crazy, man.
Until they until they haul your ass out of there somehow with a city marshal or something. All right, the Generation X makes news again. They were the largest buyers of the biggest spaces, right? And now now they make up the second largest segment of home sellers.
Hey.
So millennials and older Gen Xers, those aged between 30 and 39, collectively make up 43% of the sellers in the United States.
Yeah, I believe
A
that.
lot. I think it's two is like the divorce rate too.
Yeah,
probably makes that statistic a little bit higher because people typically when they're young like that they rush in, fools fall in love, whatever. They find out that the other person's a piece of shit and they just divorce.
Next they're selling the house.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I would say probably. So last but not least, in 2019, a property was on the market for 40 days on average before the purchase. So
I see this is a statistic that, again, I think takes the entire country as a whole and averages it out. But out here in Jersey, like if it's a good property and it's in a good area, it's gone within a couple of days. 2019 or 2020, it doesn't matter, because that's just how the real estate market is out here.
So the bottom line, if you gonna get into home buying or buying a home, understanding the real estate statistics of your area can help you make an informed decisions about the right property and price. Just like Darwin explained earlier, and basically it's all about doing your research, man, and educating yourself.
Absolutely. It's all about educate yourself and then take it from there.
And now there's YouTube and especially your website, where people could just go on to and find as much information as possible. And that was very interesting how you brought up biggerpockets.com.
Yes, that's a huge resource. Biggerpockets.com is a huge resource. And our website right now, blueanchornj.com, which is, directed really towards people who are looking to sell. We do have like a blog section and we do educate a lot on different aspects of real estate as well, whether it's buying your first home or dealing with inspections, dealing with non-paying tenants. We do throw in a lot of education there. So if anybody wants to visit our website and just educate themselves just about real estate in general, go for it. That's definitely another resource for sure.
Awesome, man. But listen, man, thank you for going through that list with us and fact checking things based on your own personal experience. Darwin, let's just give you your social media drops and all your contact information for those looking to sell a home to you, or they can get in contact with you. How can they contact you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can reach out to me, email Dalwin@blueanchornj.com, or you can hit me on IG. I'm pretty active on IG. I'm on Facebook too, but really mostly on IG. My personal is DGAR, that's D as in David, GAR 31. And then our Blue Anchor Properties IG is Blue Anchor Properties. That's it.
Awesome, man. Awesome, definitely.
And I mentioned the website too, blueanchornj.com.
There you go, man. There you have it, man. You're trying to sell something and it's a home? Holla at my guy right here, man. Anything else you're trying to sell cupcakes? Don't come to him, man. It's all about homes. Blue Anchor, man. Listen, man, it's been a very informative episode. I appreciate your knowledge, man. Thank you for letting our viewers and our listeners basically get an idea of how the home buyers network is, and your experience of flipping houses and all that is very informative. And
I definitely learned a lot. Thank you, Darwin. That was interesting.
Nah, not anytime, guys. And I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's like I always say, I can talk real estate for days. And if this episode at least touches at least one or a couple people and points them in that direction, hey, I'm happy about that. So
man, it touched me for sure, brother. And it got the dueña too. She's like all happy. I'm like,
it's got my real estate,
right.
bubbling like, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
She's probably thinking about flipping her house down there.
Well, I'm actually a super host through Airbnb. And
Hey.
I've been a super host for 5 years. So
Awesome.
while I was in New York, I was now I live in one of the Airbnbs, but this one I was posting on Airbnb because it's only 10 minutes away from Disney. So it was a very good location. You got the 24-hour Walmart, you got lots of things in the area. Yep. And you could rent a whole entire house versus getting a hotel room in Disney.
Absolutely.
The same price, if not cheaper, and a swimming pool and a driveway. And we were getting all types of people. We were getting like pilots. We were getting people who own boats. They needed a place to park their boat. I'm like, It was very interesting. Like, oh, am I able to park my boat in your driveway? And I'm like, I guess. How big is it? Like, wow.
Yeah. No, Airbnb is where it's at. Anytime we travel, like we're 9 times out of 10 staying at an Airbnb. So
nice. Well, you let me know when you need an Airbnb.
Yeah, I got you for sure.
Also, at the Roundtable podcast, what we do is we have a final thought on the main topic. Today's main topic was real estate investing and house flipping, right? So since you're our guest, right?
Yeah.
Let's let you start off with a final thought.
Final thought would be, there's a lot of things I can say, but final thought when it comes to real estate, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Educate yourself, get all the knowledge. Use me as a resource. You could always reach out to me, but there's a lot of other people out there like Bigger Pockets. But really, it's all about your mindset. You got to get your mind right. You got to feed your mind the right type of information. Yes, real estate education, but also that self and personal improvement. You got to work on your mind day in and day out and try to put together some sort of a routine that puts you in that right state of mind. And also just know and recognize that, shit ain't easy. Like things are going to get tough, whether it's in real estate or any other industry, but keep your end goal in mind and remind yourself why you're sacrificing everything you're doing and keep pushing forward. Because as long as I always say that if you want things to work out, they will work out because you will figure out a way to make it happen no matter what. So that's my final thought.
Shit, bro. That was a good one. Yeah, for sure. One of the best ones we had on the show, Jesus. My
final thought is execution. A lot of people educate themselves and they know, and they fall into this analysis paralysis and they just keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And then before you know it, 3, 4, 5 years came down the road and nobody knew that this pandemic was going to happen. So, or at least most of us, but, it's like execute, don't be afraid to mess up, because no matter what, whether you're a pro or whether you're experienced or not, like get into something that it is that you want to get into. Like me, myself, I my father, he passed away a few years ago, but he was really into real estate investing. And me, I was just a wild teenager. So I didn't I didn't pay any attention to it. But, I was seeing my dad owning all these properties. We had one in Staten Island, had one in Jersey, had one in Miami, had a couple in Orlando. And, I'm just the spoiled, rotten child that was just, didn't take advantage of all this knowledge and experience that my father had.
Yeah.
And now I'm really interested in getting into real estate myself. So execution, do the damn thing. Don't be afraid of failing, because whether you're a pro or not, shit's going to hit the fan. And just do it. That's it.
I love that. It's good. I like that.
Man, you guys are killing it right now. The final thought game. I don't even know what to say. I'm like stuck for words. I'm like,
how do I follow that up?
Pancakes? I don't know. Mind the pancakes. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, man, if you want to do something in life, just think about it, visualize it, meditate, jump around, up and down, like the House of Pain. Like Darwin said earlier.
Windows closed.
Windows closed.
Windows closed.
Make sure your curtains are closed. You don't want to, show your neighbors your balls, whatever. Bouncing all around. But the whole thing is knowledge is key. Educate yourself, do your research, man, and basically just go and get it, man. Nobody's gonna hand you anything. You know what I mean? Unless you're born into a wealthy family.
Yeah.
But if you don't come from wealth, you have to actually go get yours.
Absolutely.
And the best way to do it is just to put your dreams in perspective, man, and make it happen.
That's right. Amen to that.
Shit.
Amen to that.
Amen to that, man. Yo, you already know what it is, man. Brew Anchor Properties in the house, Darwin Garcia, man. Shout out to you, brother.
Hey, Dalwin.
From Florida.
Have me on.
Shout out to the Dinner at the Round Table family, John Tavar and Chris Ryder. This is me and Adonia segment on Sundays, but they'll be back on tomorrow at 8 p.m. with Lenny Coca. You already know what it is, man. Yo, Dar, I'll holler at you when I'm ready to do my thing. You already know, man. Thank you very much. For very informative, bro. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. So we out this piece, man. You already know what it is, man.
Peace out.
You know, ended up with La Dueña Receipts con Don Turón.
Tell her what's up, my slim. When we touch the street, shot it up my keys. And she know me nah go bun like the grabber leaf. She keep me covered like the blanket, so me nah go leave. Don't call the police, don't call the police. If I show you what I'm doing, you will never believe. Don't call the police, don't call the police. Hey, hey.
I ain't got no reason. I've been down since day one. Yo estuve ahí cuando lo estaba. No sé qué es lo que me dices con esa mirada. Yo estuve contigo en las buenas y malas. Y tú sabes que en la cama yo soy tu diabla. Y tú sabes que soy legal. Sí, tú sabes que soy tu mujer. Y en la calle a mí nadie se me va a cuadrar. Baby, yo soy la dueña. Yo soy divina cuando fumo leña. Me pongo las estrellas y resueña. Ella no tiene cuerpo, tú sabes, ella está plana. Todo mi ropa, Dolce & Gabbana. Y no te debo nada. She gave me a visa.
Tell her what's up, my slim. When we touch the street, shot it up my keys. And she know me nah go bun like the grabber leaf. She keep me covered like the blanket, so me nah go leave. Don't call the police, don't call the police. If I show you what I'm doing, you will never believe. Don't call the police, don't call the police. Hey, hey, hey. Shorty sure receiver, Dios protect us please. Lo que tenemos.
Ella no está a mi nivel. No hace lo que puedo hacer. Yo solita me puedo mantener. Pero mi hombre siempre quiere complacerme.
Tell her what's up, my slim. When we touch the street, shot it up my keys. And she know me nah go bun like the grabber leaf. She keep me covered like the blanket, so me nah go leave. Don't call the police, don't call the police. If I show you what I'm doing, you will never believe. Don't call the police, don't call the police. Hey, hey, hey.
He'll never let the next one come and take my spot. He too busy trying to rub all up in my G's. He can't see them thoughts upon the mirror fog. When them haters hear them shots full of Jamaica in the yacht.